Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sad and you're watching the Arsenal transfer show on the Football Corner. Let's get into the transfer rumours for today. Like I said before, if you're new, make sure to like, share and subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell notification so you're notified every time I make a new video. Now today we have loads more news coming out from Twitter and different sources around the internet, and we're going to start off with number one, Sasha Boey from Galatasaray. Now Sasha Boey has been linked to the club. It looks like there's a move that's been linked with Arsenal, and I'm just going to read an article here which is from Eduardo Hagen, which says Arsenal are determined to seal a deal for Sasha Boey and have already tabled a €20 million offer. Galatasaray want 25 million and the clubs are in negotiations. Arsenal want to close the deal before other clubs get into the race. Now this report's telling us that we've tabled a £20 million bid. Now if we look at a different source here, if we look at what Fabrizio Romano is telling us, it's a very different story. Fabrizio Romano has actually said Arsenal have not made any proposals for Sasha Boey at this stage, despite reports been told there was no meeting with his new agents, just one of many players appreciated, but not a negotiation as things stand. Galatasaray want more than €20 million for their right back. Now, what we can take from this is, there's stories going around. If it's me, I'm leaning towards believing Fabrizio Romano more than other journalists, just because of his history with transfers and stuff like that. So he's a bit more reliable in what he says. Better than other journalists that are out there. Now, if we're going by that, at the moment there's no offer placed or no offers been tabled to Galatasaray to bring Sasha Boey in. I've seen a few clips from him. To be honest, it doesn't really look like a great player. Obviously he's a right back, so at the moment we're looking at right backs to bring in, but he's not the best player, I'm going to say. But listen, bringing a right back to the club, I'm hoping to see what we can do with Fresneda. At the moment it's still quiet on that front, but I'm hoping to see if we could get Fresneda in. But it looks like Sasha Boey is a player that the club is interested in, and we will have to see what will happen in the near future with this deal, whether Arsenal will pursue it or whether we will move on to Ivan Fresneda or whether we'll move on to a different right back. But definitely we're going to be needing to get in a centre back / right back, or like a versatile defender that can play both positions, or just a natural right back. So, and then we can move Ben White into that centre back position, right next to or in as a backup for Saliba if he gets injured again. Now moving on to story number 2, James Maddison. Looks like we're back in again for James Maddison. I'm just going to read an article here which is from the Arsenal Informer, which states Arsenal ready to launch a £40 million bid for Leicester's James Maddison. Despite Leicester's relegation from the Premier League, James Maddison delivered personally with 10 goals and 9 assists this season. With a year left on his contract, Maddison is expected to leave Leicester. Fabrizio Romano shared on the Here We Go podcast, Maddison is 100% leaving the club. Newcastle loved the player, but he is also appreciated by Arsenal. Maddison reportedly prefers a move to London, and the desire for Champions League football seemingly rules out Tottenham as a destination. So listen, basically what this tells me is that he wants to play Champions League football next year. He wants to go to London. So for us, if we table the bid, get in negotiations with the club, I'm pretty sure we can get this deal done for James Maddison. Listen, I believe that James Maddison is a really good player. Would love to bring him into the club, and who knows? Listen, he could be the player we need in that midfield that can play, in the midfield just behind Martin Odegaard in that left 8 position, as a midfielder that goes forward a bit. or he could be a backup for Martin Odegaard. We don't know, but at the moment, listen, I would love to have Maddison at the club. Plenty of talent, still very young, and he's just a very talented guy. Knows what needs to be done when it comes to playing at a club and helping the club out in times of need. Puts the numbers up. Even in a struggling Leicester, he still managed to get 10 goals and 9 assists, and that's in a Leicester team that currently was not doing very well. They were struggling, but he still managed to put up the numbers, and for me that's very impressive. That shows that he's able to perform even when the team around him is not performing well. So if it was me, listen, I'd go in for James Maddison. Definitely a very good player we can look at and hopefully bring into the club. Now, number 3, we have some news about Gabriel Magalhães. Now, some news is circling around currently about Gabriel Magalhães. It looks like PSG are interested in the player. They are tabling a bid. If you look at the report on the screen at the moment, Paris Saint-Germain are preparing an offer to sign Gabriel Magalhães, but the player's desire is to stay at Arsenal. Now, listen, anybody comes in for Gabriel Magalhães, listen, he's untouchable. Gabriel Magalhães and William Saliba, they can't be allowed to go anywhere. Those two centre-back partnerships, they're so strong together, and for me, I wouldn't sell them or let them go anywhere. They have to stay at the club. So for me, we need to keep him. Listen, I'm pretty sure when PSG eventually do come in with an offer, it's going to get swiftly rejected because, like I said, him and William Saliba, untouchable. On the same level as Martinelli and Saka, you know, these kind of players. They won't be sold unless it's maybe for a stupid figure, like 80 million or 70 million, something stupid like that. But right now, listen, Gabriel Magalhães, he's not going anywhere. He's got a long future at the club, a very good centre back, and has a really bright future ahead of him. Number 4, so it looks like Newcastle, Kieran Tierney. That's getting closer and closer. Currently it says Newcastle United are confident of signing Kieran Tierney despite interest from Aston Villa. Arsenal want more than £30 million for Tierney. Now, for me, 30 million, that's a good price. I would have gone 35, 40 maybe, but listen, 30 million, still a good price to get for Tierney. Listen, my outlook on this, I really like Tierney. I wouldn't get rid of him, but if that's what the club want to do, then obviously we just have to let it happen. There's not much that we can do in regards to changing it. You know, the club are going to get rid of him if they want to. I don't really think he fits the system, and it doesn't look like Mikel Arteta is trying to make the changes in order to fit him into our team, in order to play a system that suits him. So it looks like, listen, Kieran Tierney is going to be gone. 30 million looks like a good price to sell him out for. Newcastle and Aston Villa are interested, but it looks like Newcastle are the front runners in that race to sign Kieran Tierney. So we will see what happens in the coming weeks and see whether Kieran Tierney can leave for 30 million or maybe more. Let's see if it starts up a bidding race, or let's see if it starts up a bidding war and see if we can get as much money as we can out of these clubs. Obviously Newcastle, very rich club, very rich owners, so we need to try and get as much as we can out of them, as much as we can. Now, number 5, final story for today, which is Lavia from Southampton. Now, Lavia is a great player. I've seen him, and I've seen him play for a few games for Southampton this season, and he's just looked amazing in every single game that I've watched him playing. And listen, I would love to have Lavia at the club, but if you just look on the screen, I could just show you this report from the Arsenal Informer that shows Arsenal sounded out possible deal for Southampton midfielder Romeo Lavia. According to recent reports, Arsenal have shown interest in the 19-year-old Belgian players following the Southampton's relegation to the Championship. Despite a £40 million buyback clause from Man City, Arsenal have made an approach, with Mikel Arteta reportedly a big fan of Lavia. Lavia made 29 Premier League appearances last term and is praised for his passing accuracy, tackling rate, and making him a potential valuable addition to the Arsenal squad. Now, for me, listen, he fits right in. Lavia fits right in. He's obviously not going to be a starter, but he's a great squad player, bench player to come on, especially in the Champions League. We can give him some sort of experience there. He's still very young, at just the young age of 19. So he's still got so many years ahead of him. And listen, for Southampton, I've seen him week in, week out. He's done it every time I've watched the game, and I've seen him. He's been one of the star performers in that team. So for me, listen, if we can go and get Lavia, I'll be over the moon. Such a good player. Definitely has some very good attributes in his game. And yeah, I would love to get him, bring him to the club. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for tuning in anyway today. Like I said before, make sure to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit the bell notification so you're notified every time I make a video. And make sure to let me know down below what your thoughts are on the transfers that have been discussed today. And listen, see you later, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. I love you all. Come on, you Gunners. Bye.